Not to be confused with Nappy Roots, the Roots are an American hip-hop neo-soul band, formed in 1987 by Tariq, Black Thought, Trotter and Ahmir, Questlove, Thompson in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, United States. The Roots are known for a jazzy and eclectic approach to hip-hop featuring live musical instruments. Malik B, Leonard Hubbard, and Josh Abrams were added to the band. Since its first independent album-length release, the band has released 10 studio albums, 2 EPs, 2 collaboration albums, and also collaborated on recordings and in live shows with a wide variety of artists in many musical genres. The Roots served as the house band on NBC's Late Night with Jimmy Fallon from 2009 to 2014, and in the same role on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon since 2014. The Roots' work has been consistently met with critical acclaim. About.com ranked the band number 7 on its list of the 25 best hip-hop groups of all time, calling them hip-hop's first legitimate band. Band history, early career. The Roots originated in Philadelphia with Ahmir, Questlove, Thompson and Tariq, Black Thought, Trotter while they were both attending the Philadelphia High School for the Creative and Performing Arts. They would busk out on the street corners with Questlove playing bucket drums and Tariq rapping over his rhythms. Their first organized gig was a talent show in 1989 at the school where they used the name Radioactivity, which began a series of name changes that progressed through Black to the Future and then the Square Roots. Prior to the release of Organics, an issue arose with the name. A Philadelphia folk group had claim to the name, and to avoid legal wrangling they simply dropped the square aspect and became the Roots in 1992. Organics was the band's first album, released and sold independently. It was released in 1993. It generated enough industry buzz for offers from music labels, and the band signed with DGC-Fen. The Roots' first album for DGC, Do You Want More?, was released in 1994. It was a moderate hit among alternative music fans due in part to the group's appearance at Lollapalooza. The band performed at the Monterey Jazz Festival that year. Touring guests, beatboxer Ratzel and producer Scott Storch, joined the Roots. The 1996 release Philadelphia Half-Life was the group's first album to break the top 40 on the Billboard 200 chart, spurred in part by MTV's airplay of the video for What They Do, and Clones, which was their first single to reach the top 5 on the rap charts. What They Do was also the group's first single to hit the top 40 of Billboard's charts, reaching a peak of number 34. While continuing on the path of live instrumentation, the album's sound was somewhat darker. Breakthrough with Things Fall Apart, the group released Things Fall Apart in 1999. This was their breakthrough album, peaking at number 4 on the Billboard 200 charts and earning a gold record, signifying U.S. sales of at least 500,000 units. The album was eventually certified platinum in April 2013. Mos Def contributed to the track entitled Double Trouble. The track Act 2 features African-Belgian band Zap Mama and Common. The track You Got Me, a duet with R&B singer Erykah Badu and Eve and Jill Scott intended by Black Thought for the unconscious population, peaked at number 39 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. At the 42nd Grammy Awards, You Got Me won the award for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group, and the album was nominated for Best Rap Album. Steve Huey of the website allmusic.com perceived a strong affinity for the neo-soul movement in the album. First-time cameos on Things Fall Apart for Philadelphia natives Beanie Sigel and Eve helped to earn them major record deals later. After this album, Dice Raw left the collective to record his solo debut album Reclaiming the Dead. In the summer, the band performed at the Woodstock '99 concert in New York State. Phrenology: several members, including longtime member Malik B, left the group. In December 2001, the Roots backed Jay-Z for his MTV Unplugged concert. With heightened popularity came mounting pressure. The Roots released Phrenology in 2002. Despite not charting as high as Things Fall Apart, reaching a peak of number 28 on the charts, Phrenology was commercially successful, being certified gold, and earning a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Album. At the time, however, there came rumors that the Roots were losing interest in their signing with MCA. During this time, The band backed Jay-Z for his 2003 farewell concert in Madison Square Garden, and appeared in the accompanying Fade to Black concert film. The Tipping Point. After Phrenology, Ben Kenny and Scratch both left the group. Kenny joined the rock band Incubus. This culminated with the release of 2004's The Tipping Point, the byproduct of several jam sessions. The album earned 2 more Grammy nominations, one for Best Urban Alternative Performance for the track Star Pointro, and another for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group for the track Don't Say Nothin'. The Tipping Point peaked at number 4 on the Billboard album chart. In 2005, Homegrown. The Beginner's Guide to Understanding the Roots, Volumes 1 and 2, a 2-disc compilation album, was released. The Roots were among several performers on the 2006 film Dave Chappelle's Block Party, whose event took place on September 18, 2004 and was released on film 2 years later. Game Theory was released August 29, 2006, on Def Jam Records. Questlove describes the album as being very dark and reflective of the political state in America. The first single from the album, Don't Feel Right, appeared on the Internet in May 2006, and is available for free download on several websites. The album's first video, titled The Don't Feel Right Trilogy, premiered on August 21, 2006, and features 3 songs, In the Music, Here I Come, and Don't Feel Right. It earned an 83 on Metacritic and 2 Grammy nominations. The late Jay Dilla is honored on different occasions throughout the album. Track 1 is credited to be supervised by Jay Dilla. Track 13 Can't Stop This is devoted to his persona, the first part being an edited version of a track of his Donuts album, released 3 days before his death. This version comprises vocals by Black Thought. Secondly, a string of kindred artists reminisce about Jay Dilla in the form of answering machine messages. Rising Down, the Roots' 8th studio album, Rising Down, was released on April 29, 2008, the 16-year anniversary of the Los Angeles riots of 1992. In the weeks before the album's release, the original first single Birthday Girl, a radio-friendly collaboration with Fall Out Boy's Patrick Stump, was removed from the album reportedly because it didn't fit in with the album's tone. It remained as a digital download available from iTunes as a bonus track, as well as on international releases. Picking up where Game Theory left off, the album maintains a dark and political tone, with Black Thought and several guests venting about the ills of society today. The album's guests include Chrisette Michele, Common, Mos Def, Saigon, Styles P, Talib Kweli, and Whale. It also features Philadelphia artists Dice Raw, DJ Jazzy Jeff, PD Crack, Greg Paun, and Shrug North, as well as former member Malik B. Rising Down features the Roots incorporating a more electronic and synth-heavy feel into their sound. Rising Down was released to critical acclaim, garnering an overall score of 80 on Metacritic. The album's first single was Rising Up featuring Chrisette Michele and Whale. How I Got Over reflects the relief the band felt at the end of the Bush administration and the beginning of the Obama presidency. Guests include Blue, Fonte and Patty Crash, whose song Serve This Royalty is covered on the album. Rather than relying on samples, the album was recorded live, with covers being reinterpreted by the band. The album was released on June 22, 2010. On June 24, 2009, The Roots debuted the first single and title track from the album Live on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. The song features longtime Roots collaborator Dice Raw. Wake Up. The Roots collaborated with R&B singer John Legend on the album Wake Up. The album was released on September 21, 2010, and was publicized 2 days later with a live concert at Terminal 5 in New York City with John Legend and Jennifer Hudson that was streamed on YouTube. On October 30, 2010, The Roots and John Legend played live at the Rally to Restore Sanity and Or Fear in Washington, D.C. Betty Wright, the movie. The Roots collaborated with R&B singer Betty Wright on the 2011 album Betty Wright, the movie, credited to Betty Wright and The Roots. The album, co-produced by Wright and Questlove, was nominated for a 2012 Grammy in the Best Traditional R&B Performance. Undone, The Roots released their 13th album Undone via Def Jam Records on December 6, 2011. The first single Make My leaked on October 17, 2011. Undone tells the story of their semi-fictional character, Redford Stevens, who struggles unsuccessfully to avoid a life crime and fast money. The album's name is inspired by the Guess Who's song Undone, and the character was named after the SUFJAN Stevens song Redford. The album features artists including Aaron Livingston, Big K.R.I.T., Fonte, Dice Raw, Greg Paun, Truck North, Bilal, and SUFJAN Stevens. Wise Up Ghost and other songs. The Roots and Elvis Costello released Wise Up Ghost on September 17, 2013 via Blue Note Records. On July 22, 2013, they released a music video for the first single, Walk Us Uptown. And Then You Shoot Your Cousin. The Roots released And Then You Shoot Your Cousin on May 19, 2014. The first single, When the People Cheer, was released on April 7, 2014. Black Thought described the album as a satirical look at violence in hip-hop and American society overall. Upcoming work. In an interview with Fuse TV, Questlove said he also had 2 or 3 secret, major musical projects that I'm working on that I can't really talk about. Members. The Roots' original lineup included Tariq, Black Thought, Trotter and Ahmir, Questlove, Thompson, classmates at the Philadelphia High School for Creative and Performing Arts. As they began to play at school and on local streets, they added bassist Josh "The Rubber Band" Abrams, who went on to form the jazz group the Josh Abrams Quartet. They later added another MC, Malik Abdul-Basit Smart and Leonard Nelson Hubbard, and Scott Storch. Kenyatta Kid Crumbs Warren was in the band for Organics. The Roots' first album release. Another MC, Dice Raw, joined the band in cameo appearances on later albums. The band filled Storch's position with Camel Gray, who continues in that capacity. Camel Gray did not play with the Roots on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon between April or May and early September of 2012. His absence was not publicly explained, however on the September 17, 2012 episode, Gray returned to the group. Beatbix Ratzel was a band member from 1995 to 1999. Alongside Ratzel was turntablist vocalist Scratch, who also DJ'd in live concerts. However, Scratch left abruptly in 2003. Malik B left the group in 1999 due to personal reasons but continued to record, making occasional cameos on some albums. Guitarist Ben Kenny had a brief stint with the group and contributed to the Phrenology album, but left to join Incubus as bassist. Percussionist Frank Knuckles joined the lineup in 2002 and guitarist Captain Kirk Douglas replaced Kenny. Vocalist Martin Luther toured with the Roots in 2003 and 2004 and contributed to the Tipping Point album. The group announced in August 2007 that its longtime bassist Leonard Hubbard was leaving. Owen Biddle was the band's bassist in 2007 to 2011. The Roots' current members are Black Thought, Questlove, Capone Kirk, and Questlove. Proto copyright Gar copyright Frank Knuckles. Recent touring and Tonight Show lineups added Damon Tuba Gooding Jr., Bryson and Mark Kelly. On The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, James Poyser plays additional keyboards. The band announced on August 25, 2011 that Owen Biddle left the band, replaced by Mark Kelly. Because the band members hail from Philadelphia and its surrounding area, they showed their support for the Phillies during the 2009 World Series against the Yankees, displaying Phillies memorabilia when performing on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. On the episode which aired the day after the Yankees clinched the title, Questlove stated no comment on the show's intro, and had a Yankees logo purposely displayed upside down on his drum set. In 2010, the group showed support for the Flyers during their run to the Stanley Cup Final by having the team logo on their drum set. Band lineup. Current members: Black Thought Euro rapping, Questlove Euro drums, Camel Gray Euro electronic keyboard, F Knuckles Euro percussion, Captain Kirk Douglas Euro electric guitar, Tuba Gooding Jr. Euro sousaphone, James Poyser Euro electronic keyboard, Mark Kelly bass guitar. Former members: Malik B Euro rapping, Kid Crumbs Euro rapping, Rubber Band a Euro bass, Rauchzla a Euro beatboxing, Dice Roll a Euro rapping, Scott Stork a Euro keyboards, Ben Kenny a Euro guitar, bass, Martin Luther a Euro vocals, Scratch a Euro beatboxing, Leonard Hubbard a Euro bass, Owen Bidlear a Euro bass, Timeline. Touring and other work. The band tours extensively, and their live sets are frequently hailed as the best in the genre. In 2006 the band played a concert in NYC's Radio City Music Hall with Common, Nas, Talib Kweli and Big Daddy Kane. Also in 2006, they backed Jay-Z for his Reasonable Doubt concert, a celebration of the 10-year anniversary of the release of his first album. In 1994, The Roots appeared on the Red Hot Organization's compilation album, Stolen Moments, Red Hot Plus Cool. The album, meant to raise awareness and funds in support of the AIDS epidemic in relation to the African American community, was heralded as Album of the Year by Time magazine. They have been highly involved in many other Red Hot Organization productions, including the 1998 album Red Hot Plus Rhapsody and the 2001 album Red Hot Plus Indigo, a tribute to Duke Ellington. The Roots have been featured in 4 movies, Dave Chappelle's Block Party, both performing album songs and playing as a backing band for other artists. Spike Lee's Bamboozled. Mark Levin's Brooklyn Babylon, in which Black Thought plays the protagonist, Solomon, and former band member Artsel narrates. And Chasing Liberty, starring Mandy Moore. Black Thought and Questlove were both featured in the movie Brown Sugar. Black Thought made an appearance in the film Love Roma's Tariq Trotter, and Questlove currently appears in the recent documentary movie about TBC brass band called From the Mouthpiece on Back, which lists The Roots as one of the executive producers of the movie. The band guest performed with the Dave Matthews Band during their 2007 summer tour. Members of The Roots played in various forms as well as a whole band on DMB's back-to-back concerts at Alpine Valley Music Theater in East Troy, Wisconsin. In 2007 the band performed at an NAACP tribute to Bono, covering U2's Sunday Bloody Sunday, and Pride. Black Thought mixed in lines from the band's own False Media. The group hosts a highly anticipated jam session every year the night before the Grammys. The Roots Jam Session, produced by Okayplayer, Good Time Girl Entertainment and Questlove, has been attended by celebrities ranging from Jay-Z, Bianca Copyright Knowles and Tom Cruise to Don Cheadle, Jeremy Piven and Prince with impromptu performances from Snoop Dogg and Corinne Bailey Rae to Queen Latifah 4, Mattis Yahoo, Fall Out Boy and Dave Chappelle. Billed as The Roots, Questlove, Kirk and Owen made an appearance on The Colbert Report on April 15, 2008 when Stephen Colbert spent a week in Philadelphia prior to the 2008 Pennsylvania Democratic primary. During the appearance, they performed the intro song to the show, and closed the episode with a rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner. The Roots are featured on the Men in Black original soundtrack with the song The Nautic with neo-soul singer D'Angelo. The song Here I Come was featured in the movies Superbad and Hancock. Here I Come is also featured in many video games including Project Gotham Racing 4. The song The Sea 2.0 featuring Cody Kusnut was featured in the movies Collateral and I Think I Love My Wife, as well as the Without a Trace episode Candy. The song Don't Say Nothing was featured in the first season episode, Busy and the Beach of HBO's Entourage. The song, Guns Are Drawn, featuring Aaron Livingston, was featured in a season 6 episode of CBS Cold Case. They performed on the popular kids show Yo Gabba Gabba, performing Lovely, Love My Family in 2008. They also did a secret jam session at the Oulipo Ballroom in Kentucky in 2009. In 2012 they played during the NHL Winter Classic at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia and at Austin City Limits Music Festival in Austin, Texas. In 2013 they performed at the Gathering of the Vibes Music Festival at Seaside Park in Bridgeport, Connecticut. The Roots host the Roots Picnic, an annual all-day music festival in Philadelphia, every June. Late Night and The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. In March 2009, The Roots became the new official house band on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, with Here I Come as the show's theme. When Jimmy Fallon became the host of The Tonight Show in February 2014, The Roots became the house band for that show. The Roots feature heavily throughout the show, providing the bumper music in and out of commercials, as well as the opening song Here I Come, and playing the show off the air. Jimmy frequently interacts with the band during the course of the show, with them occasionally providing snippets of music for some monologue running jokes. They also provide music and drum rolls for the games with show guests, along with theme songs for the games and segments. On November 22, 2011, U.S. Congresswoman and presidential candidate Michelle Bachmann was a guest on Late Night. For her entrance, The Roots controversially played a snippet from Fishbone's 1985 song, Lying Ass Bitch, resulting in apologies from Jimmy Fallon, Questlove for The Roots, and NBC. The incident nearly resulted in The Roots being dismissed from the show, but the timing of the Thanksgiving holiday and national security gaffe by Bachmann shortly after helped defuse the situation in the media. As a result of the incident, NBC approves all walk-on songs prior to filming each show. Sketches. One of the first sketches involving The Roots was Freestyling with The Roots. Jimmy Fallon finds an audience member and gets them to talk about themselves and a topic. The information is relayed to Tariq along with a genre of music, and they then compose a song on the spot. In the early days of the show in 2009 there was apprehension about their overall fit with the show, but after the first appearance of this sketch and its successful reception, they knew they were there for life. Thank You Notes, a segment every Friday, involves keyboardist James Poyser prominently. The segment starts with Can I Get Some Thank You Writing Music James? With James playing an arrangement similar to a sped-up version of U2's song October, and typically acting upset. Jimmy then tries to engage with him to get him to smile before continuing the segment. Slow Jam. The news features Fallon and Tariq, often with a celebrity guest, rhyming over a slow jam played by The Roots. The lyrics are often political or current events related, with guests usually appearing to talk about an issue pertinent to them. Brian Williams is a frequent popular guest vocalist, talking about the news as if he was still behind his anchor desk. Some of the notable guest slow jammers include sitting President Barack Obama, and former Governor Mitt Romney. Like the majority of the show, the segments are uploaded to YouTube after airing on NBC and often go viral. President Obama's clip has received over 8 million views and the Mitt Romney clip received 2.7 million views in less than a week. The Roots have contributed to additional online successes with the Classroom Instruments sketch. Jimmy and musical guest from the show will record an arrangement of a song with The Roots providing accompaniment on instruments that would be found in an elementary school music class. Examples of these instruments are woodblocks, xylophones, kazoos, tambourine, melodica, shakers, or recorders. They have performed Call Me Maybe with Carly Rae Jepsen, Blurred Lines with Robin Thicke, All I Want for Christmas with Mariah Carey, and the Sesame Street theme song with several members of the cast. They have also done Get Lucky by Daft Punk for YouTube's Year in Rewind 2013. Most recently, they did Let It Go from Frozen with Idina Menzel. The Roots also provide the backing tracks for Jimmy and Justin Timberlake's episodic History of Rap. By March 2014, the incredibly popular History of Rap saga consists of 5 parts and 101 individual songs, all performed with a comedic approach. The 5th installment was performed during the inaugural week of The Tonight Show. Awards and nominations: Grammy Awards, 1999, Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group for You Got Me, 2002, Best Rap Album for Phrenology, 2004, Best Urban Alternative Performance for Star, 2004, Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group for Don't Say Nothin', 2007, Best Rap Album for Game Theory, 2007, Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group for Don't Feel Right, 2010, Best Traditional R&B Vocal Performance for Hang On In There, 2010, Best R&B Album for Wake Up. 2011, Best Group or Duo R&B Vocal Performance for Shine, 2011, Best Rap Sung Collaboration for Wake Up Everybody, 2011, Best Rap Album for How I Got Over, 2013, Best Rap Album for Undone. MTV Video Music Awards, 2003, MTV 2 Award for the C 2.0. MTV Woody Awards, 2004, Road Woody and Welcome Back Woody. BET Awards, 2005, Best Group, 2009, Best Group. NAACP Image Awards, 2005, Outstanding Duo or Group, 2007, Outstanding Duo or Group, 2011, Outstanding Collaboration for Wake Up. 2011, Outstanding Album for Wake Up. First hip-hop group to perform at Lincoln Center, January 2002, named one of the 20 greatest live acts in the world by Rolling Stone, 2003, Heroes Award from the Philadelphia chapter of the Recording Academy, 2004, Discography. Studio albums, Organics, Do You Want More? Philadelphia Half-Life, Things Fall Apart, Phrenology, The Tipping Point, Game Theory, Rising Down, How I Got Over, and Done, A Euro and Then You Shoot Your Cousin, EPs, From the Ground Up, The Legendary, Collaborative Albums, Wake Up. Betty Wright, The Movie, Wise Up Ghost, Track Numbering. A distinctive feature of the Roots albums is the way tracks are numbered. With the exception of their collaboration albums, the Roots have used continuous track numbering beginning with their first studio album Organics through all following albums, 1 to 17, Organics, 18 to 33, Do You Want More? 34 to 53, Philadelphia Half-Life, 54 to 71, Things Fall Apart, 72 to 76, The Legendary, 77 to 86, The Roots Come Alive, 87 to 102, Phrenology, 103 to 113, The Tipping Point, 114 to 127, Game Theory, 128 to 142, Rising Down, 143 to 156, How I Got Over, 157 to 170, and Done, 171 to 181. A Euro and Then You Shoot Your Cousin. Questlove references this numbering system in his book Mo Meter Blues, The World According to Questlove, and explains it was our way of saying that it was a continuation of the work we had started on Organics and Do You Want More? References. External links. The Roots official website, The Roots at Allmusic, therootsarchive.com, retrospective of The Roots at Def Jam.